At this point is I want to be on the transverse process. And I want to be on the transverse process that's on the same side I'm standing on. Okay? The photo shows the opposite side for photo purposes, but I want to actually be on the side that I'm mobilizing. Okay? I'm going to actually come over to this side on this one just so these guys can see some of this too. So slide toward me, please. So I want to be on the transverse process on the side that I'm standing. So again, I can identify where I am with this. I identify the spinous process. Remember from Kines, we come off, about a quarter to half an inch, and that's our transverse process. One way that I make sure that I'm on the transverse process is I just rub back and forth this way, and you'll feel that transverse process, and you'll kind of bump over it. Right? So I just kind of rub back and forth, cephalad and caudal, and I kind of get a feel for where that is, and I'm off midline here. So I'm on the transverse process. The hand contact here, we can use several different hand contacts. I'm going to show you a hand contact that isn't best for your thumbs, but it's best for your ability to assess. So my point is that we can use this for exam. If you were to treat, to save your thumbs, there's probably an alternate way of doing it, and I'll show you both. So we're on the transverse process. I'm going to take my thumb. Just like we did with the previous technique, I have one thumb that's making the contact, and I have one thumb that's eliciting the force. So this thumb is not worrying about pushing. This thumb is just worrying about being in the right place. This thumb is doing all the work. Right? So I'm here. We call this our dummy thumb. Right? So I take that dummy thumb, I put it over the transverse process, I take my mobilizing thumb, and again I'm in the same exact position, same exact posture, but with this mobilizing thumb, I'm making contact through that dummy thumb, and I'm applying force. Right? So I take up the slack, and then I'm applying my oscillations to that transverse process. I'm looking right at that site, my nose is dripping on the spot that I'm mobilizing, right? And I'm beginning to think about those grades. So it's a unilateral, but it's still PA. So it's a unilateral PA glide or unilateral anterior glide, essentially is what it is. And I'm on the transverse process. If I was going to begin to mobilize this, the exam becomes the intervention. I can keep my dummy thumb there, and I can use that distal area of my piezoform to be the mobilizing force. I can put that right on top of that dummy thumb, and I can use that to mobilize. Okay, so that's an alternate way of being able to kind of provide that from an intervention standpoint. It saves your thumb a little bit. Okay, this one beats up your CMC joint a little bit. Okay, so just be careful of that. So as I'm eliciting force to the transverse process, appreciate as I'm pushing in the transverse process, what motion am I producing segmentally? Rotation, right? I'm producing rotation. I'm pushing just on one of those transverse processes and I'm creating rotation. All right, so that's unilateral PAVMs, unilateral posterior anterior accessory intervertebral mobility.